Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin. I'm your host, Barbara. Today, we're going to dive into some of the most pressing stories from around the world. From the European Union's counter-smuggling legislation to the struggles of a Gazan family, we'll be exploring it all. First, let's take a look at the situation in Europe, where the EU is set to finalize its position on proposed updates to counter-smuggling laws. Human rights organizations are warning that these proposals could perpetuate injustices and fail to target the real culprits behind smuggling operations. We'll be examining the potential consequences of these changes and what they might mean for migrants and asylum seekers. Meanwhile, in Japan, lawmakers are making progress on a bill that would raise pension benefits for citizens. The Liberal Democratic Party and Komeito have agreed to accept an opposition party proposal, paving the way for the bill's enactment during the current session of Parliament. This development has significant implications for Japan's aging population and its social security system. We'll also be discussing the story of a Gazan family struggling to survive amidst poverty and conflict. Their desperate situation is a stark reminder of the human cost of ongoing tensions in the region. As we explore this story, we'll be considering the broader context of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the international community's response. Additionally, we'll touch on other news from Japan, including the LDP's decision not to include a consumption tax reduction in its election platform, as well as plans to create a public-private network for disaster relief. As we navigate these complex issues, our goal is to provide you with a balanced and nuanced understanding of the events shaping our world. We'll be hearing from experts, analyzing the facts, and considering multiple perspectives to ensure that you have a comprehensive view of the news. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. I'm your host, Barbara, and we're glad you're joining us again for this middle segment of our show. Today, we're focusing on some significant developments in the world of aviation. First, let's take a look at a concerning situation with air traffic control in the United States. A recent article from the Straits Times highlights issues with the U.S. air traffic control system, citing a string of incidents and near misses that have raised concerns about passenger safety. According to reports, the problems are attributed to a combination of factors, including outdated technology and staffing shortages. On one hand, the Federal Aviation Administration has announced plans to upgrade its air traffic control systems, which could help alleviate some of these issues. However, critics argue that more needs to be done to address the root causes of these problems and ensure the safety of passengers. In related news, a tragic plane crash occurred in San Diego, California, resulting in the loss of 6 lives. The Cessna 550 Citation crashed into a residential area on May 22, with investigators still working to determine the cause of the accident. The National Transportation Safety Board has launched an investigation and is reviewing various factors, including weather conditions and potential mechanical issues. It's essential to note that plane crashes are rare, and air travel remains one of the safest modes of transportation. However, incidents like this serve as a reminder of the importance of continued vigilance and improvement in aviation safety. As we continue to monitor these developments, it's crucial to strike a balance between highlighting concerns and acknowledging the efforts being made to address them. By doing so, we can work towards creating a safer and more efficient air travel experience for everyone. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We're wrapping up today's show with a look at the latest news from around the world. From politics to social justice, we've got you covered. Let's start with some developments in international relations. French President Emmanuel Macron is embarking on an Asia tour, where he'll be pitching France as a reliable partner in the region. This comes as tensions between the U.S. and EU continue to simmer, with Donald Trump threatening to impose a 50% tariff on EU goods. We'll be keeping a close eye on how this situation unfolds. In other news, Amnesty International is calling for the complete abolition of the death penalty in Ghana. This is part of a broader push to end capital punishment worldwide, and we'll be exploring this issue in more depth in future episodes. Meanwhile, in Venezuela, an opposition leader has been arrested ahead of a tense election. This move has sparked concerns about the country's democratic process, and we'll be monitoring the situation closely. In the U.S., a federal judge has temporarily halted the Trump administration's decision to revoke Harvard University's right to enroll foreign students. This is a significant development in the ongoing debate over immigration policy, and we'll be following it closely. We're also seeing some positive developments in Sudan, where civilians are returning to Omdurman after a period of conflict. And in Ghana, Amnesty International is calling for an end to the death penalty. Finally, the United Nations chief has warned that the Gaza war is entering its cruelest phase. We urge all parties involved to prioritize diplomacy and work towards a peaceful resolution. That's all for today's Barber's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay engaged.